the best property deals. So we're looking at how to find, analyze, and finance the best property deals. Just so I get a good feel of who's in the audience, it'd just be very useful for me to know your background and experience. So there's just a couple of very quick questions. The first one is just to ask whether you've heard me speak before on a webinar before. If you can just click on these as quickly as possible for me, it just give me a really good feel of who's in the audience and what your background is. Okay. So we've got the majority of people are clicking. Thank you for clicking so fast. In fact, just about everybody has heard me speak before. Okay. Those that haven't heard me speak before don't know what the heck's going on or where to click. By the way, if you click on the right-hand side, if you've not got the app, if you're on your iPhone or iPad or something like that, you might want to download the app for next time because it will make you able to interact with the questions that I ask and be involved in those questions. We're going to run the education for about an hour today, maybe just a little bit under an hour. And if you have got any questions as we're going through, because we've got so many people on the webinar, I won't be able to answer questions as we're going through. But if you type in your question as we're going through, then my promise to you is that I will stay on the call for as long as it takes to get everybody's questions answered. So type in your question at the bottom right hand side and I'll make sure that I come back to it at the end and we get that question answered for you. Okay. If you've got sound issues as we're going through, you shouldn't have any sound issues at all today, but if for any reason you have, if you stick your hand up, if we see lots and lots of hands going up, then we know that there's a problem at our end. If there's just the odd hand goes up, then it's probably something at your end. So if you don't hear me mention it, then check your connections and your bits at your end because it's more than likely to be something at your end in that situation. Okay, cool. Okay, well, let's get started with today's agenda. The only other question I wanted to ask is just what your experience was in terms of buy-to-let. So how many buy-to-let properties do you currently own? Okay, how many do you currently own? Okay, and again, thank you for your quick answers. We've got about 33% are saying none. A big chunk today, 47% in the 1 to 3 bracket, 13% 4 to 6, and then a few in the 7 to 10 and 11 pluses. I will make sure there's good value in today's webinar wherever you are on that learning curve, wherever you are on that sphere. Okay. So, in terms of today's webinar, how to find, analyze, and finance the best property deals. What's on the agenda for today? So we'll go through my background. Because so many of you have heard me speak before, we're going to do that pretty quickly. We'll go through finding great property deals. How do we find them? Analyzing those deals. How do we make sure that we're buying what we think we're buying? How do we make sure we're buying the right deal? We'll go through key rules in investing. Okay, so what are the rules that professional investors would live and die by? What are the things that you can take a chance on, but what are the things that just there is no way I'm going to risk my money, risk my investment? These are the rules that I have in play. Because, by the way, any professional investor, whether it be in the stock market, whether it be in gold or other minerals, whether it be in property, any professional investor has really, really clear rules to guide them. Really clear rules that dictate what they do and when they do it, almost in a robotic manner. Okay, we'll cover sourcing the best finance. So how do you find the best finance for these deals? Once you've found a great deal and you've got a great investment, you've analyzed it, how do you get the best finance together? And we'll finish off with question and answers. Okay, if people want to stay on after the call and we have time, we may well stay on for those that want it and go also through the property insight model and how we turn a $75,000 investment over 12 years into an income of £40,000 per annum from property, tax-free, inflation-proof for life. That may be something that interests you. It may not. So if you're just here for the education, that's cool. Once you've heard the education, if you want to stay on and go through that, more than happy to do that at the end of the call. Okay. So now at this point, I'd normally go through and share with you my story, share with you my background in property, but I think a lot of you may well have heard that. and you may well have heard me talk through that before. So I just want to pull out a couple of key parts of the story, though. So forgive me if you haven't heard me present the whole thing before, but a couple of key parts that are pertinent to today. My first property I bought, I paid well over the odds. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew what finance was. I'd been a finance manager at Marks and Spencer's. I'd done a maths degree, paid well over the odds. Didn't understand what discount even was, and thought a friend of a friend would give me a great price because they were a friend of a friend. You know, the third property I bought at auction, I didn't have a clue whether I was getting good value or not. I was just excited and brought, you know, in the stream of the auction bidding, I was just really excited in it. It was like playing Monopoly. I kept buying bad deals. I bought a deal from a sourcer. Okay, the first ever deal that we bought from a sourcer was a property on a road called Highfield Road in Scarborough. And it had an elderly couple living in it, and we were told the elderly couple, they want to rent this property back. They just want 6 months contract and then they're moving out. The house was worth 125. We could buy it for something like 85 or 90 maybe even, and we couldn't believe it. We just couldn't believe we could get a discounted deal with so much discount. It was unbelievable. How do you find these deals? This is amazing. We're in here. So in we went to buy that deal, okay? And we bought the deal. And we went round to see the tenants. Elderly couple, they said. And we said, where are you moving in 6 months' time? And they said, what do you mean moving? We said, we've heard you're moving out in 6 months. You've signed this tenancy agreement. We were told we could stay here for life. The sourcer was very unscrupulous. The sourcer had told them they could stay for life. The sourcer had paid them £50,000 for their house that was worth 125 before selling it on to us. And the sourcer, as well as telling them they could stay there for life, the reason they'd sold the house for such a ridiculously small price was because it was their 50th wedding anniversary and they wanted to go on a dream cruise that they'd never been able to afford or would ever be able to afford again. And they needed £3,000 for this cruise. So they thought if they sell for 50, they could have this dream cruise. As it happened, the sourcer took so long messing around buying their property for them that the time passed and they couldn't go on their cruise. But being elderly and people of their word coming from that background, they still sold their house because they'd shaken hands to sell the house at that price, even though the other side hadn't delivered. I'm sharing that story because that's an example of unethical sourcing. That's an example of people you come across that really, really give the industry a bad name. And it's one of the key reasons people get fearful. You can imagine after that experience, by the way, we let them live there for life. We had to honor what they'd been stitched up into. So we ended up being stitched up financially as well by that deal. Okay. But, you know, you've got to learn from these things and you've got to move forward positively. For many, many people, that would have been enough to never use a sourcer again. Me sharing that story, there were some of you going, oh yeah, I knew I shouldn't use sourcers. I'll never use a sourcer. But for me, it just taught me some things about how to do my due diligence and how to check on the sources. Okay, since then, we've bought hundreds of properties through sourcer contacts, hundreds. But you have to be careful who you work with. Okay, so I just wanted to share that part of the story. In terms of financing, I didn't have a clue how to finance deals. We used to, we used to find a deal. And by the way, if you've heard my story before, you'll know I didn't start with a big pot of money. I wasn't blessed by starting with £100,000 in the bank or £1 million in the bank. Started with zero. Started with absolutely zero. Got resourceful. There's no such thing as a lack of resource. There's a lack of resourcefulness. And we got resourceful, and I started learning, once we'd done a few properties and made so many mistakes, I started learning from other people who were ahead of us in the game. Other people who were more successful than us, I found out what they were doing, and I copied it. Mastery, I copied what they were doing, the outstanding people. And if you copy someone who's outstanding at something, you get very good results. When I copied someone who had just done it once or twice, who was average at it, I got poor results. But we started copying those. We started finding out about financing properties legally, but financing them in a way that would really help build a profitable portfolio. And we're going to share some of that as we go through today. Okay. 95% of the deals we now see at the Insight Group are what I call off market. They never get seen by the general public. If you're out looking to try and find a discounted deal that you want to buy, you're not going to find these deals because they don't even go out on the marketplace. They're coming from banks or receivers or estate agents or letting agents, but they're coming straight out to us, 95% of them. Okay. So let's start with finding great deals. Okay. What I want you to understand, you will have heard this in education before if you're doing other education, I'm sure. But what I want you to really understand is that it is crucial to buy at discount. A 20% discount. If you get two people side by side and they buy the same houses, same rents, everything else, but let's say the first person doesn't get any discount but still buys great investments, the second one gets 20% discount and they buy two houses each to start with, okay? And they've got 75% mortgages on them. The person who bought with 20% discount on the first two, 6 to 24 months later, will be able to refinance each of those and draw out 75% of the discount on a further advance. That gives them enough deposit to buy house number 3. The other person who didn't get discount can't do that. So now they've got 2 houses, this person's got 3 houses. They've got 50% more return on their money because they got 20% discounts. Now multiply that forward over a 12-year term based on 5% property price growth. Person 1 will have 3 properties by then. Person buying with discount will have 9 properties by then. That means 3 times the financial return year 13, year 14, year 15. It's not even as good as that, because what also happens is it exponentially changes because they're getting a bigger financial return. They can reinvest that, grow even more, grow even more, grow even more. You buy with a 20% discount, it will triple your growth in your portfolio versus not buying with discount at all. The challenge is that landlords don't necessarily have the time to learn to buy at full discount, so they settle for less. You know logically it makes sense, but you either don't have the time or it is incredibly difficult. It's hard work. It's a skill to master. Now, sourcing property is not easy. An average investor takes 15 people days to source one property with a 20% genuine discount, over 100 hours to source one property with a 20% genuine discount. And not many people have 100 hours spare to look for their property or have that level of due diligence and that level of determination. If you wanted to find 40 of those a month, by the way, for us at the Insight Group, we find one property with a 20% discount. 59 times out of 60, we will still won't buy it because it doesn't meet our other rules, which I'm going to cover with you shortly, about analysing the deal. But the one time out of 60 that we do buy it, it's an awesome deal because it meets all of the rules, not just the discount rule. But to find just 40 in a month would take 600 people days, 4,800 hours. People just don't put that work in. Understandably, because they don't have 600 people days in a month to put in. And it's not surprising with a few hours a month that it's not that easy. Okay. And as I said, people then get lazy on the discount. So they know they should get discount, but they end up settling for a bit less discount than really they should have been making sure that they were going to get. Okay. So how do we get around this? Now, there's 2 ways. The first way is to learn to be able to source properties with discount. To source them for yourself. If you spend £3,000 on leaflets or billboards or text messaging strategy or estate agency strategy or car boots, and you find one deal that's got a £30,000 discount, is that worth £3,000 to you? I'm sure you'll say it is. It's a good investment, £3,000 for a £30,000 return. But learning to do it is a job in itself, okay? And you may have time to do that. And if you have, then that's your best way. Learn to do it and do it for yourself, okay? Or you need to learn to outsource it and how to outsource it. Now, we only have an hour together today. And so I want to get you thinking. I want you to get you to start to think about the things that you want to do and how you want to move forward, because everybody's different. Some people on this call will be really up for learning to do it themselves. Learning to do the strategies that are on the screen in front of you that we proactively do month in, month out and make a great return on. Some people, that's the last thing they want to do. It's the last thing they want to do. They either A, are just hoping, they're just praying that something will fall in their lap. By some fluke chance, they'll get a 20% deal that falls in their lap, or they've kind of given up on that, or they're going to give up on it. They just don't know it yet, and they're going to buy one near to full price. Okay. Or they're using the other strategy, which is outsourcing it, which I'm going to come on to. Now, because I don't have time to go through this in detail, there are 3 or 4 points during the webinar today, and I'll remind you again at the end of this, but there are 3 or 4 points where I'm going to say that I've recorded another webinar that's an hour long just in itself covering this particular topic. This is one of them. For all of those times that I say that, if you go to www.propertyinsight.info and click on the webinars area, you'll be able to see in that webinars area, it's free to register. We've got your details, so we're not doing it for data capture. You'll be able to see for free all of my webinars from the last year. And in there is a webinar on property sourcing tips and techniques, how to source with big discounts. Okay? If that interests you, go do that and learn to do it for yourself. Put time and effort into it. Put time and effort into listening to when you're picking which networking events to go to, which courses to go to. If you're going to do this, learn to do it, and it will pay dividends. Understand you have to be diligent. Understand you have to have some money behind you to get started, but it will really, really pay off. Okay. Finding great property sources, though, leverages your time. The majority of people investing in property, not everybody, and there's no right or wrong, but the majority of people have put together a lump sum of money. They may have inherited it, or they've worked really hard to grow it, or a bit of both, or they're releasing equity against the property. And they're generally busy people in themselves, busy at work, busy earning a great living, got family, tend to be 30, 35 plus, generally. Okay, not all the audience will be like that, but a lot of people will. Okay, and what they don't actually need is another job. They think, I'm going to invest in something. What shall I invest in? And they think, I'm going to invest in property. It's going to give me a great return. Investing is where you put money in and you get a financial return. A job is where you have to put time and effort in. Okay, now to make it as much of an investment as possible, finding great property sources leverages your time. Now, if you want to find great property sources, how do you do that? What I'm talking about here is finding people who can day in, day out drop 20% discounted properties into your inbox so you don't have to go looking for them. That leverages hours off your time. What is that worth? There's over 800 contacts we have over the last decade and a half. We've built our contacts with banks, with receivers, with estate agents, with letting agents, with professional property sources. There are people all over the country that make a living by doing what I was talking about 2 slides ago, by finding motivated sellers who will sell for a discount. Now, you have to know which ones to work with. You have to know which ones not to work with. Okay? But you've got to commit to a standard. It's all about consistency. Too many people in property will be so busy, 3 weeks go by, then they spend a few hours on Rightmove and they're looking at property, and they cram it all in, and then life gets busy again. And they're busy again, 3 weeks again, and then they cram it all in. And then, they keep doing that, and they wonder 4 or 5 months later why they're not getting anywhere. Commit to a standard you can keep to. You don't get, if you diet like that, if you diet by eating anything you want for 3 weeks and then just diet for a day like crazy, and then again do nothing for 3 weeks, you're not going to get anywhere. You'd be far better just dieting 1 meal a day, but eating a bit better, leaving all the rest the same. You'll start to, after time, see results. It's the same with setting up a property business or sourcing great properties. You might not have more than 2 hours a week to put into this. But if you've got 2 hours a week, it might be half an hour a day for 4 days. Diarize it. Put it in the diary. Make it a must. Nothing can book over it. Your friends are going to the pub, can't book over this. Boss wants you in early, can't book over this. This is an appointment I have with myself to find property sources, to get on the phone and speak to people and build great relationships. Okay, people spend a ton of time learning lots and lots of property stuff, learning how to do this, how to do that, how to do the other, but they become a jack of all trades, a master of none. They learn about 15 different strategies and 15 different ways of making money in property, but they don't go deep on any of them. If you're going to source properties for yourself, that's the main thing you need to concentrate on from today, from now. Just go deep. Or if you're going to find property sources to find properties for you, go deep at that. How do you get the best property sources? How do you get the connections? How do you grow those? Only go to networking events or property events where you can learn how to find those people, or where you can find those people, if that's what you need to do right now. Okay, but these sources, once you've found them, if they're putting a deal in your inbox once a week, that's 52 a year coming in your inbox. They massively leverage your time. So the work and effort to build that relationship will repay itself again and again and again. Okay. If you speak to any professional property investor, anyone with 50 plus properties, they use property sources to leverage their time and their money. Okay. Now, again, I said I'd reference other webinars. I'm going to reference this other webinar twice. Again, propertyinsight.info, the webinars area, there's a Power Teams webinar on there. So we've talked about the property sourcing webinar, but there's also a Power Teams webinar that teaches you exactly how to find sources that you can trust and that you can work with that won't let you down. Exactly the questions to ask them to make sure they're the right people to work with, and exactly how to find those people. So we don't have time to do that in detail now, but if you want to learn about that some more, watch that hour on Power Teams. And get deep into that. Get deep into learning about that. You need to build trust with these people. You need to build rapport with them. Okay? And you need to be able to move quickly. Now, that might be your natural you. You might be someone who loves building rapport, loves chatting with people, loves building relationship, but you might not be. When I first started out in property, I don't naturally love being around people. Okay? I love doing tasks. I love getting the job done. I don't love being around people. I had to learn that skill. I had to learn to get on and play well. Okay? So if it's not naturally you, don't just not do it because it's not naturally you. Learn the skill. You get a property source that gets you deals coming in your inbox with 30,000 discount. Was it worth a bit of pain and a bit of moving out of your comfort zone to build those relationships? Your power team are key. On that last slide, I said if you want to learn to find property sources, it's key. That power team webinar will teach you how to do that. But also, you need to build trust with the property sourcer. They need to know you can get the mortgage done quickly. You've got a solicitor who can move quickly, that you know what you're doing. And the best way to do that is have an A team around you. Have a team of people around you who know exactly what they're doing and exactly how they're doing it. So that they can move quickly, whether you're brand new and you've never bought a property, or whether you're buying your 5th or your 8th or your 12th. Do you have that team already in place? If you don't, get them in place. Watch my Power Teams webinar and get those people in place, because then when you approach the sourcer and you're saying, here's my broker, here's my solicitor, we're ready to go, we can get this done in 3 weeks, money's in the bank, I've got a refurbishment team ready, can you give me a property? You're totally different to someone else who rings up and goes, I've heard you might be able to get me some properties. Do you know what you want? Not really sure. I'm a bit new to this. It's a totally different conversation. The other thing, you get those power teams in place and they'll introduce you to some great property sources because that's who they work with. Okay. And what you must do with these sources is touch again and again and again, systemize it. If you speak to a sourcer today and they say, yeah, if I find a great deal in your town, I'll send it to you. But then you don't speak to them again. And then you're surprised a year later they haven't sent you anything. And you bump into them. You said you were going to send me some stuff. Oh, yeah. I forgot about you. Of course they forgot about you because someone else is ringing them every day or sending them a letter or a card. It was great chatting to you the other day. Look forward to doing business with you. They find out when their birthday is. They send them a birthday card. But systemize this stuff. Log it. Make those calls consistently. It's the hard graft you have to put in. When you're selling something, you have to, on average these days, people need to have seen an advert at least 8 times before they even connect with it. You're advertising yourself to these sources. You need to have touched them at least 8 times before they'll connect with you. So touch, systemize it so it can't be forgotten. Put it in your diary, schedule it. Once you touch with them today, it automatically goes in the diary for whenever the next call is going to happen. Okay. At the end of the webinar, if you're interested, we have a business that takes all this hassle away and does all of this for you, property sourcing made easy. But I'm not here to talk about that today. We'll touch on it at the end for those that want it, that provides you with a power team and provides you with 80 deals a month into your inbox. But that's what you need to be achieving, whether you do it with us or someone else. You need to be achieving that into your inbox to be able to sift through and really pick out the cracking deals. Okay. How do you go about analyzing a deal? Let's imagine you do what I've just said and you've got 50 deals a month or 100 deals a month coming into your inbox and you're thinking, gosh, this is good news, but now which ones do I look at? Which ones am I interested in? Which am I not interested in? Okay. You need to learn how to analyze a specific property deal. And there's a couple of key parts to this. The first part of analyzing a property deal, in fact, I haven't even got slides for this first part. The first part is knowing your marketplace. Do you know what the house prices are doing in the UK at the moment? Okay. What are the house prices doing in the UK at the moment? Have you decided where you want to invest? Do you realise that London is up 45% in the last 5 years? The Midlands is up 10 to 12%. The North is up 6 to 8%. But that over time they all go up the same. Do you realise that professional investors in the South more and more at the moment are investing in the Midlands and the North? Have you decided that you live in the South and you want to do that? Or you live in the South and you still want to invest in the South? Have you got clear on your strategy? Have you got clear on your rules? Have you got a coach or a mentor or some education? I don't sell any of them, remember. But have you got those in place to help you with that? Or have you made it? If not, if you're doing it yourself, that's cool. But have you made a decision? Have you decided how you're going to do this? Okay. Now, once you've decided where you're going to invest, and by the way, if you want our house prices video, again, it's another video we've got. You can go look in that webinars area and see me presenting what's been happening with the house prices and what's going on with the house prices currently. Okay. So once you've done that and you then get these deals coming in your inbox and you get one that's in the right area, right type of property that you want to invest in. I'm going to do types in a minute with the rules. You need to learn how to value a property. Okay. Now at the end of the webinar, I'm going to, for free, you're going to be able to claim a copy of my book, The Property Coach. And the Property Coach, actually with third edition, just released the third edition of the Property Coach, but you can literally go through the Property Coach and it will teach you exactly how to value a property. But let's get into some of the basics. You can more or less these days, sat at your computer, value a property pretty accurately. My team, I have 4 members of the team who permanently source discounted property for our clients. That's all they do for a living. They can value a property and 95 times out of 100, their valuation will agree exactly with a valuer's valuation that's been around the property. The other 5%, there's some disagreement, but it's not normally, it's because it's subjective rather than them not being able to value property. Now, you can't see the condition of the property, so you're being led on condition and you're making the assumption that what they say is right, and you're going to check that. You're not going to just rely on the computer work. But let's do the computer work to rule a load of them out. Google Earth. If you've not used it, Google Earth these days, you can go on Google Earth, use it and look for your own postcode, zoom in and see your front door, see the street, see the type of houses around it, see what cars are parked on the driveway. You can get a really good feel for a property in the area on Google Earth. In fact, you can be stood on the street and not realize there's a field behind a house, but Google Earth, you can see the field as well. You can see the layout, you can see everything else. Google Earth is invaluable. Rightmove is really valuable. Rightmove shows you what's on the market at the moment. Remember, though, the prices on Rightmove are what people are hoping to sell for. They're the for sale prices. They're not what people are buying for. A much better guide of what people are buying for. Rightmove now has a sold prices tab that you can click on, and net house prices has the same thing. Land registry data shows you exactly what houses are bought for. Now, if you're looking on a certain street, be careful, because on a certain street, you can have 100 terrace houses all the same, but you can also have 30 terrace houses, 30 semi-detached and 30 detached. And if you're just looking at net house prices, you need to know that the number of the house that you're looking at, that you're seeing, well, that sold for 100,000 last year, mine must be worth 100, it's on the same street, but that might have been attached and you're in a terrace. So what you need to be doing there is you find the address, you find what it's sold for on net house prices, and then you go back to Google Earth and have a look at the actual house. And is it the same as yours? Yes, right, that's at one reference point. Now, multiple searches on net house prices, if you can find a road that has multiple cross-references in, that's what valuers work for. They look for comparable prices of houses that have sold recently for the same price. So use net house prices. Go find houses within 100 meters that have sold and what they've sold for. Look at Rightmove, what's up for sale. Understand that houses normally sell for a bit less than they're up for sale for. Not so much in London at the moment and the southeast, but the rest of the country is still pretty much the same. Maybe about 5% below the average for sale price. So if there's 3 for sale and they're all for sale at about 100, probably worth 95. You can see how long they've been for sale for. If they've been for sale for a long time, they're not shifting at 100, then they're not worth 100. I've lost track of the number of times a property sourcer sends us a deal, says, here's a great deal, it's worth 100, you can have it for 80. And it's been up for sale for 100 for the last year. It's not worth 100. It's not even worth 95 because somebody would have offered and they'd have taken the offer. It's probably worth 90 or less if it's been up at 100 for the last year. So you can look and see how long they've been up for. You can look at those sold prices. Now, once you've done your due diligence, let's say you look at a particular property and you think at the end of that it's worth 120,000. Okay. If you've heard of Home Track are a company, it's an online company where you can get an online valuation. It's about £20 to do a one-off one. You can buy them in bulk, but it's about £20 for a one-off one. And Home Track, if you get a mortgage with somebody like the Halifax or quite a lot of the other lenders, and it's a residential remortgage, refinance, you already live there, it's not a purchase. And sometimes they do a desktop valuation. You might have heard that saying, desktop valuation. That's what they're doing. They pay Home Track for the valuation. Often done if you learn to value is 60% or less, what you're borrowing has got good equity in it. They think, I'm not going to pay a valuer to go out. We don't need to go to that cost. Let's do a Home Track valuation. That Home Track valuation can give you a great indication. Now, when you apply for a valuation with Home Track, they'll also tell you how much data they've got. They'll say this is a really good, solid report. Or they're kind enough to say, this is a report, but there's a bit of guesswork in here. So don't rely on it 100%. Brilliant. And gives you some local background, local sales data, etc., etc. So if you're don't do that. Don't spend that £20 until you're pretty sure you want to buy a house. You're pretty sure you're getting a good discount. But then £20, not a lot of money to back up your investment. Finally, say we're buying a house and we think it's worth 120 and we're buying it for 95. I don't want to just rely on my desktop stuff. I want to now pay for an independent valuer to go to the property. So the independent valuer is going to go along to the property and they're going to get briefed by us, what we call a blank survey. Because the valuer always says, well, what are you buying it for? I'm not telling you. What do you think it's worth? I'm not telling you. I want you to go to the property and value it. I want at least three comparable properties and their prices. I want you to give me a full list of works that need doing to the property. I want you to take photos, copious photos of everywhere. And I want a before and after refurbishment valuation. I don't want you to list after refurbishment as if it's a residential. I want you to list what I need to do to get it to buy-to-let standard. And I'd like a full report, please. And I'm going to pay you £150 plus VAT for that. Are you happy to go do that? And you get that done by a RICS surveyor, okay? And because once that comes back, say you get 2 of those back, and for every 2 you get back, you only go ahead with 1. So in effect, they cost you £180 each, £360 then for the valuation. You're screaming, but how much did you save by not buying the first one? Because you realized you weren't getting 20,000 discount, or they gave you a lot more feedback on the inside than you realized you were going to get. For me, the key with property investing is to be in deselect mode. And the biggest mistake that investors make is they get in select mode. What do I mean by this? If you're in select mode, you're looking for a house to buy. It's like in the nightclub at 2 a.m. and he's wandering around looking for a girl to kiss. He's in select mode. The next morning he realizes he shouldn't have kissed that girl. She realizes she shouldn't have kissed that boy. But they were in select mode. They weren't going around looking for reasons to deselect the people around them. I don't want to kiss her because, I don't want to kiss him because, I don't want to kiss him because, I don't want to kiss her because. Okay? It's how you should recruit. So many companies recruit based on select mode. I've got a gap, I've got a vacancy, I need to get someone in it. I need to recruit someone quick. Who can I pick? I've got 4 candidates. Which one am I going to pick? Who's the best? For us, if none of those 4 candidates are good enough, they're out the door. I don't care if it takes me a year to recruit somebody. I'm not going to recruit the wrong person. I'm going to deselect. You end up married to your property for many people a lot longer than you're married to your spouse. That's a sad situation, but it's true with investment properties because you should be keeping your investment properties to the grave. You should be buying these investments to keep forever. You're going to own them for another 30, 40, 50 years. Is it worth taking an extra month or two or some extra time to make sure you marry the right one? Rather than being impetuous or in a hurry or not doing your due diligence properly. You know, it's scary in relationship. You'll all get it when I say this. How many people get together with, move in with, marry the wrong person because they don't take their time and do the due diligence like people used to do in the good old days. In the good old days when you had to ask somebody's permission to date their daughter. We don't do that. We rush, and people rush it with their property purchases too. Learn the skill to value the properties properly, and if it's not the right property, deselect, walk away. Be comfortable to walk away. Okay. Now, on top of knowing how to value a property, on top of making sure deals are piling in, so you're not looking at one a month and going, oh gosh, I must select this one, they're so hard to find. Yeah? When I was a geeky teenager, that was how I selected my girlfriends. Yeah? I was hopeless at it. Oh, this one likes me, great. Key rules when investing. What are our rules? What are our deselection rules? Okay, these are the rules that I use for my personal investments. Nowadays, I don't really buy myself. I buy with my joint venture partners. These are the rules that are clients of ours. These are the rules that I use. And they're the rules, I promise you, if you use these rules, you will never buy a duff. These are family-let, by the way, family-let buy-and-select properties. Now, if you want to do student houses of multiple occupation, if you want to do options or rent-to-rent, different set of rules. Find the master at those in the UK, whoever's outstanding at it, not just at teaching it, but also doing it. Find exactly how they do it, exactly what they do, and copy it. And you'll get very good results because they're outstanding. These are how you do family buy-to-lets outstanding. Rule 1, only buy 3 and 4 bedroom properties. Okay, we're only going to buy 3 and 4 bedroom properties. The reason for that is you get transiency in a smaller property. 1 bedroom flat, 1 bedroom house, 2 bedroom house. They get a girlfriend or boyfriend, they move out. They have a second child or a first child, they move into a bigger house. You want a family who are staying long term. We look for lifers. 65% of my tenants are what we call lifers. People who say, I want to live here forever. I love it here. My mum lives down the road. My dad lives up there. My family around the corner. Kids are at school. I want to live here forever. Because what a lifer does is they'll redecorate the wall when it needs redecorating. They'll change the door handle when it breaks. They won't disturb you. They'll just get on and do it because they'll treat it as their own. Rule 2. Finishing that off, transiency, an average turnaround of a tenant costs £1,500. By the time you've paid the new tenant fine, any void periods, any damaged property, on average it's £1,500. So it's a big problem. You get a tenant who stays for 10 years or a tenant that changes every year, you've just saved 15 grand on one property. You've got 10 properties, or let's say 6, £90,000 a decade problem if you buy 1 or 2 beds instead of 3 or 4 beds. Buy it discount. Target a genuine 20% discount. It's a rule. Buy it discount. Buy the right properties for best return on investment. This one I always laugh at because when I invest in the stock market, I don't buy Morrison's stocks and shares because I come from Yorkshire. I want the best financial return for my investment, wherever that may be. But for some reason in property, people don't think the same way. They don't think they want the best financial return. They just think they want something local. So from my point of view, just to give you an example, I can drive to York, which is 30 miles from my house. And in York, for 150,000, I can buy a house that rents for 650 a month. Or I can drive to Scarborough, 10 miles away, and for 75,000, half the money, I can get rent of 560 a month. So for two of those, same spend as York, I've got 1120 of rent coming in instead of 650 in York. I know over time they both go up the same in value, same capital appreciation, so I know what I'd rather have. I'd rather have the increased rent. Now, having said that, there's a fire alarm going on in the background, please forgive that. Having said that, there's better places than Scarborough. We only buy about 2 properties a year out of 200 that we help our clients to buy in Scarborough. So there's better places still than that. But my point being is, people who live in York normally just buy in York because it's easy. You want to buy for the best return on investment, but learn to have the right power teams in place to manage those properties. Because a business is a profitable enterprise that works without you. A business, whether you've got 1 property, 3, 5, 10, you've got a small business, is a profitable enterprise that works and grows without you. If you're ill for 5 years, it needs to manage itself. If you want to move house to another town, it needs to manage itself. If you want to travel around the world, it needs to manage itself. So don't restrict yourself to just your area. Restrict yourself to just buying great investments that perform. Focus on 3 key areas. Most investors focus on 1, maximum 2 of these. First one, good capital growth. You can speculatively invest. You can say, I think they're going to build a new train line here, so I'm going to buy in this area because I think these might go up in value. The trouble with that is unless you're really, really good at it, and you can make great money if you are, but other people are doing the same. So by the time the everyday person does that, the prices are already inflated in that area. Okay, but it can work really well. The other trouble is if they then don't build a train line and then you're stuck for a long time without the capital growth. In the UK, we're very blessed. We get good capital growth anyway. The average price increase per annum for the last 80 years is 7.9% per annum. For the last 80 years, 7.9% per annum, even including all the drops. So if you get 7.9, that's pretty damn good. So for me, there are 4 key rules for capital growth. Buy in a town or city, close to a good school, good public transport network, good road network. If it ticks those 4 boxes, you will get good capital growth. Close to good school, town or city, good public transport network, good road network. You'll get that 7.9% per annum consistently. The second one, high occupancy, is the one that most investors miss. And I don't know why, but when you're going to buy a house, agree to buy it, immediately place an advert in the paper. Put it on Zoopla. It's free as an individual to advertise a property on Zoopla. If you don't get at least 10 replies to your adverts in the first week, walk away. I don't care if you've got a 50,000 discount. If it looks like you're going to make 300 a month cash flow. If you're not getting the replies, if 6 people reply, 3 people view it, 1 person wants it, you haven't picked a tenant. They've picked you. They're the only one that wants it. Imagine picking your spouse like that. In fact, lots of people do, don't they? Only 1 person applies for the job, so you take them. And now you're going to live with them forever. They're going to be your tenant forever. And then you wonder why you get rent arrears, you get damaged properties, you get hassle and stress. Check for high occupancy. If you get 20 replies, 10 people view it, 5 people want it, now you're in the game. You've got 5 people to choose between. You can ask for guarantors, you can ask for bank statements, you can ask for speak to their previous employees and their current employees, speak to their previous landlords and their current landlord, etc., etc. Do that occupancy check before you buy the house. Don't guess at that. Honestly, don't guess at it. Why would you risk that? Why would you risk that? Yeah. Anyway, positive cash flow. Positive cash flow is not rent minus mortgage equals profit. And it's definitely not rent minus mortgage at today's rates. So for cash flow for me on a family buy-to-let, rent minus a mortgage based on what the 5-year fix are offering at the moment. The 5-year fix is a great indication of what the banks think the rates will be like for the next 6 or 7 years. And you can get a 5-year fixed around 4% in buy-to-let at the moment. So rent minus mortgage at that rate, minus maintenance cost. Average family let 3-bedroom, £1,000 a year. So £80 a month. Minus insurance cost, minus letting agent. Even if you're going to manage it yourself for now, what if you're ill for 5 years? What if you want to go traveling for 5 years? So budget it in. And if it doesn't fit, don't say, well, that's okay. Then there'll be a better deal somewhere else that does fit. So account for that. Take all those things away, and then you should still have enough money that if you times it by 11, it provided more than a month's rent. Because then your property can be empty for a month, which it never will be if you've done that occupancy check, but it could be empty for a month of every year, and still it will never cost you a penny in extra money. You want to buy an asset that you never have to put more money into, that now is spitting money out to you. And lastly, don't run your investment short. If you're investing 100k, 5k goes immediately into the rainy day bank account. If you're investing 200k, 10k, people invest the whole lot, the whole 100 goes, then the boiler breaks and they go, I'm skint. And they create a stress in their own life. They're arguing at home about, do we buy the kids a Christmas present or pay for this new boiler? They're stressed because the tenant hasn't paid because they're right on the edge financially. Keep a contingency fund in place and add to it. If your properties are making rental profit, chuck that into the contingency fund, keep adding to it. Treat this as an investment. People don't go to their pension pot and draw another 1,000. It's performed well this month. I'll take 1,000 back out and spend it on a holiday. But they do that on their property and then wonder why when the boiler breaks they haven't got any money to pay for it. Treat it seriously like an investment. Okay. So there's some of the rules we have in place around purchase. You follow those rules. You learn to value property and you get a flood of properties coming in from sources and other contacts. You'll buy the right properties. And that you make your money when you buy. You'll buy the right properties. Okay. Now, in terms of sourcing the best finance, I've talked about the power teams video. In terms of sourcing the best finance, you may have all sorts of questions. So many people are starting out in property and you speak to them and for 4 or 5 months, a year, they've been going to different networking events. They've been looking at different options, learning about property. And then they say to you, I don't know if I can get a mortgage. Can I get a buy-to-let mortgage? And you think, well, you've inputted a year of your life into this, thinking about it, and you haven't checked if you can get a mortgage. And it's so easy to check. It takes half an hour with a mortgage broker to find out, get a decision in principle in place, get something in place so you know that you can finance these deals. Now, I do a whole hour on mortgages, the current mortgage market. I did a webinar about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So again, if you go to that webinars area, www.propertyinsight.info, and click on the webinars area, you can go look at the webinar I did on the mortgage market. So there's the power team webinar, the property sourcing and with big discounts webinar, the house prices webinar, and the mortgage market webinar. All those 4 webinars free for you to go have a look at. If you want detail on that, if you want to understand that more, if you're not sorted in that area. But that's not what today's about. What today is about, though, is making sure you can source the best finance. And again, I'm going to harp on it about it again, but look at the power teams. Now, I'm going to specifically pick on mortgage broker. This screen shows you who I think you should have in your team. You know, if you're running out onto the football pitch to play a game of football, these are your teammates. And they need to be A-stars. They need to be top of their game in the buy-to-let world. Your mortgage broker might do really well at residential mortgages, but are they an expert at buy-to-let? They should be doing a minimum of 5, ideally 10 buy-to-lets a month to be an expert at buy-to-let, to be someone you want to work with. So you need to make sure that your broker has that depth of expertise, because some deals you want to refinance in 6 months and take a further advance out when you've bought a discount, for example, or you've done some refurbishment work. Some deals you can get a 30% discount if you can buy it in a week. You need to know how to bridge. I don't care if the bridging is going to cost me 5% of the deal, because I'm still going to get a net 25% discount. I want in. I'm in. But you need to know a mortgage broker who can get your bridging finance arranged in a week, not one that goes, you can't do that. You need to know which deals to fix onto, which deals to track with. You need to know so much stuff. And every different lender likes different scenarios and works in different ways and has specialist niche. And a broker will give you access to the right deals at the right time. The right broker will help you leverage as well. They'll say, look, your property's gone up, £17,000. You could release 13,000 from this one, 12,000 from this one, put that together, you've got a deposit for another one. I recommend you do that. Here's the products I recommend you take. Proactively helping you manage your portfolio versus the broker that's quiet until you ask for help. So you need an A-star broker, okay? There's all sorts of ways to find these brokers and find these people, and I cover it on the Power Teams webinar, okay? So I'm not going to cover it here. There are 9 key questions once you start meeting these people. If you meet a mortgage broker tomorrow, or if you're planning to, these are the 9 key questions that I recommend you use with any new member of a Power Team, whether they're a letting agent, a property sourcer, a financial advisor, a tradesperson you're going to work with, a valuer. You should be asking these 9 key questions to make sure that you're going to work with the right people. Okay, so so these are your 9 key questions to focus in on to make sure you're going to work with the right people. Okay. Again, if you want to hear that in detail, some of you on the call will already have your Power Teams in place, but I imagine many of you don't. If you want that in detail, there's a full 1-hour webinar on Power Teams that will go through that in detail. Okay. So remember, if you want the deep dive on any of the stuff that we've done more briefly today, it's available to you. It's available to you for free. Go to our website, www.propertyinsight.info. Go to the webinars area. There's the Power Teams webinar, property sourcing webinar, mortgage market webinar, and I've not listed it on there, but the house prices webinar as well for you to get that deep dive. Okay. Remember, I don't sell education. But when you listen to this next quote, Tony Robbins is a massive mentor of mine. I don't know if you've come across him. I really recommend him if you haven't. The key to success is to learn to commit to mastery. At every opportunity, compound decades into days. Find the best in the UK or the world, copy what they do, and you will get outstanding results. Copy from somebody with average results, and you will get poor results. Tony specializes in finding the best in the world, finding exactly what they do, simplifying it and copying it. He's a master at it. And the better you get at that, the better you will be in every area of your life this is about, but the better your property investment journey will be. So I really hope the webinars helped you today to think about how to analyze the deals, how to finance them, and how to source the deals. And hopefully it's given you some insight into the next steps that maybe you will take to be able to move forward and be successful with your investing. Okay, I'm going to move on to question and answers in just a second. Just before I do that, and I hope you don't mind me doing this, I'm just going to quickly show you 2 slides that cover what we do at the Insight Group. Okay, and there are 4 companies in total, but our main product we have at the Insight Group is potentially will be of interest to people who've been listening. So I'll just cover this and then we'll move on to question and answers. So very quickly, if you are interested in working with us, we take a £75,000 investment, anything from there up to £500,000, but I'll work the numbers on the 75,000. In the first year, it's a hands-free service, so we source 2 awesome discounted properties in the first 6 months, in fact, with a guaranteed 20% discount from Rick's valuation. So they'd sell in the next 2 months for 100,000, you get them for 80. We guarantee a minimum of 100% growth in cash and equity by the end of year 5 because we're buying at discount, refinancing and leveraging off that. All managed for you. So we source the properties, we negotiate on them, we sort the mortgage finance, we sort the solicitors, we get the property bought, we refurbish it, we tenant, and we manage the tenancy. So it's totally hands-free. Some clients work with us because they get that they don't want a second job. They want a pure investment and it gives them that. Some work with us because they say, well, I'm going to do this to start with, but I'm going to watch everything you do and learn from you. I'm going to pick your brains teams about why they're doing certain things because eventually I'll do this for myself. But this gives me a safe, secure way. And other people have maybe got 3, 4, 5 properties already and they're going, wow, this is really hard work. I didn't realize how much work it was managing these properties. I want to keep growing. This is a great investment strategy, but I need someone to do this for me now. Yeah, or maybe the last category is people in the south who want to invest in the Midlands and the north, and they want to do it with safety and comfort and certainty. So it's all managed for you, all brought to the rules. The rules I shared with you earlier, we share with our clients up front, straight in their faces, because we can never give them a duff deal then, because it's dead easy for them to check it ticks all those boxes. Now, the long term of an investment with us, you might want a 6-year. Everyone's different. You want a bespoke plan for you, but say it was a 6-year plan, you might have 5 properties bought in your name, income of $20,000 a year, tax-free, being released from the investment portfolio, plus some rental profit. Okay, but based on 12 years, which is what I've put on the screen, based on 5% per annum increase, which is half of the national average when you compound it over 12 years. 5% per annum increase in prices. You will have 9 properties that you own in your name, just from that 75,000 investment, not another pound put in. Total value approximately 1.4 million. Your share of the equity, 260,000. Your share of the tax-free releases, 40,000 pounds per annum. Okay. So now when I say your share, you'll see at the bottom there, it says no further investment required, guaranteed. I'll show you the guarantees on the next slide, and we'll move straight onto Q&A. But basically, we guarantee the downsides. We're so confident in what we do that the downsides, things like, what if all my boilers break at once, I run out of contingency money, I have to put more money in. I have to put the money in, not you. What if the interest rates go sky high? I have to put the money in, not you. What if we buy duffers that don't rent? That isn't going to happen because it's guaranteed, I'll show you, but I have to put the money in, not you. We guarantee all of the downsides so you can enjoy the upsides. Okay. In return, we take 25% of the upside. Okay. But you get a joint venture partner. Your joint venture partner is actually me personally, Aran Curry. Somebody with 112 of their own properties, over 100 joint venture properties with other people already. You know, you're getting somebody with depth of experience who's not going to go sit on a beach and forget about you because they've got a share in your specific house and making it successful. But the figures I show you here are your share of the profits. That 260,000 of equity, your share. That 40,000 per annum of tax-free income, your share of the profits based on 5% growth. And we guarantee it, we underpin it. So we're just listing there the guarantees on the page. You know, guarantees, like if you look to the 5th one down, if you're unhappy with any property that we buy for you, we'll buy it back at any time in the first year for every penny you've spent on it. We've never had anyone claim on that because we buy awesome properties. We do our due diligence. But, you know, if you're fearful of taking that first step, many people are. I was when I started out. You've worked really hard to build this pot of money, or you've inherited it. You don't want to look foolish to your family. You don't want to make a mistake. You feel responsible because this is your time to make the right decision to make sure your family is secure for years to come, to look after your children and your spouse, and to make sure things are set up for years to come. So it's a fearful time. The trouble is that fear stops people taking any action often. Okay, if you're unhappy with the property we purchase, we'll buy it back from you for your full cost price. That takes a lot of the fear away. Okay, once if your contingency runs out, number 3 there, we'll cover the shortfall. Property is fully refurbished to a letting standard. No overspend on any costs. I've got skin in the game. We're not going to overspend you. Every pound extra you spend, it's cost me too. I have to put that money in too. You can veto any property that we show you. People don't because they meet all the rules. Okay, and the top one there, you know, when we refurbish a property and then look to tenant it might take about 6 weeks on average because we've got to refurbish these properties as well. That's all within the budget, all within the plan. But if it doesn't get refurbished and rented within 12 weeks, we actually pay the rent for you until it does. Now, we don't have to do that because it will rent, but it's there for your peace of mind that if it doesn't, we'll pay the rent. Okay. So that's the blue sky on, or the holistic of what we do. Obviously, there's a lot more detail to that. I'm going to move on to question and answers now, but just so I know from our end, you know, there may be some of you that would actually like to. There may be some of you out there that would actually like to learn more about Property Insight. If you would, then I'll put up the cursor so that you're able to click to say that you're interested, and you're able to say that potentially you'd want to show an interest in that, and I'll put that up in a little while. Okay, great. Let's go on to Q&A. John's asking me. John's saying, "Hi Aaron, what do your other companies do, and what was the sourcing company?" So sorry, I'm talking a bit about our companies now, but the other three companies we've got, Property Sourcing Made Easy, John, is our other product where when all the deals come in, we sift through them, we pick that 1 in 60 for our portfolio clients, perfect fit. The other 59 out of 60 that don't meet our rules for some reason still have a 20% discount. Or maybe really high yielding properties, and they're of great interest still potentially to other investors. So we have a service where we guarantee that people will receive 80 discounted properties a month, a total of 1,000 a year guaranteed. And on top of that, they get access to the power teams that we've built up over the last 2 decades. So in your area, we'll have solicitors, mortgage brokers, refurbishment teams. We'll have the full teams in place that can work alongside you, those power teams. And for that, we charge only £297 to be a member for a year. That includes VAT. We actually have many clients that buy that service just purely for the access to the power teams. The time it will save them with that is fantastic. But on top of that, you're getting those 1,000 deals into your inbox. It sorts your property sourcing situation. And they come with a guaranteed at least 15% discount net of any costs and fees for sources and things like that. A guaranteed 15% discount, but often up at 20% discount as well. So that's Property Sourcing Made Easy. Our other two businesses, Property Insight and Property Insight give, Property Insight I've covered. Rental Insight is a letting agent. They cover from Northampton up to Newcastle, West Coast to East Coast. And Mortgage Insight, my oldest business, over 6,000 clients that we look after on an ongoing basis. We're a specialist mortgage broker in buy-to-let. We obviously know residential really, really well as well. If you're interested in speaking to or exploring any of those companies, including Property Insight, which I just covered, if you want to just tick the relevant box, what I'll do is I'll get the team to just send you an email out. We're not going to start calling you and chasing you and all of that, but we'll send you an email out with our contact details. You might not need a mortgage yet. You might not be in a position yet where you need a letting agent, but you'll have the details for each of the companies. You'll have the relevant contacts and you can file it, and then you've got it to get back in contact with the right person at the right time. And if specifically you're interested in Property Insight and you want detail, I know some people are blue sky thinking, but a lot of people like the detail and you want to see the exact numbers. How exactly do we get from a 75,000 investment through to a £40,000 return from year 12 onwards, tax-free every year, or 20,000 after 6 years? If you want that detail, we can send you out the slides that show the detail of exactly how that works so that you're able to go through that for yourself. So if you're interested in that, you want to click on the Property Insight tab and we'll get that sent out to you. Okay. Okay. So that's the answer to that one, John. I hope that makes sense. If you need any help with that, just ask me. Yeah, so if anyone's interested in following up with any of them, just click and we can send the stuff out. Stuart's asking a question. Great question. Is the 40,000 tax-free income based on refinancing or rental income? Stuart, throughout the model, what I'd recommend is looking at the detailed slides that we can send out to you. But through that model, basically, we refinance and grow the portfolio. So as the property goes up in value, we can refinance to take some of the growth, equity growth out, and also because we've bought a discount, we can take some of the discount back out in equity release. So we use that strategy to grow from 2 properties to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 up to 9. From that point onwards, you can keep going, or you can say, I've got a big enough portfolio now, but still keep releasing at that 75% gearing. So the 40,000 a year is equity release. And on top of that, there's about 10,000 a year of rental profit. Now, I always say to people, assume 0 rental profit, and then all the rest is a bonus. So in the model, we don't even build in £40,000 worth of rental profit throughout the period. We don't even build in always buying at 20% discount. We assume worst case, we sometimes buy at 15, which is not going to happen, but we assume that. So there's lots of, we assume the prices will only go up 5% a year, but they actually go up at 7.9% a year. So the 40,000 is really an illustration, but what we'll do is we'll bespoke a plan for you based on what your thoughts are, what you think will happen. We can then bespoke and show you what we can achieve for you. Some people want to put more money in, get there quicker. Some people want a 15-year plan, not a 12-year plan. So we can build it bespokely for you. But yes, it's from equity release, but there is rental profit obviously on top of that. Okay. Okay. Let me just close down. Elizabeth has said, can we have this on the screen? Can you just clarify what you're asking to have, Elizabeth? You're saying you can't see the illustration. I'm not sure exactly when you asked that. So if you can let me know and then I can get it up on the screen for you, that would be absolutely great. Okay. We've got about 50% of the audience are wanting property insights, send some information over, and 50% property sourcing made easy. And the other two businesses are up near the 50% mark as well. So that's great. We'll get that information out to you. It will come from Property Insight and the Insight Group, as will the recording of today as well. Okay. Okay. Stuart saying, so if at year 12 an investor wants to sell, they receive 260k. Exactly, Stuart. That would be your share of the equity. Now, I really, really, really don't recommend selling. And when you see the model in full, you know, from a tax efficiency point of view, I recommend keeping the properties to the grave. You literally take them to the grave, take the income, but that's exactly right. You can, and you have total control, by the way. I talked about the profit share, but you have 100% control. You dictate. You own the properties, not me. So you have the properties deeds in your name and the mortgages in your name. You decide whether we reinvest money. So if you can release equity and you want to reinvest it, I have to reinvest my share. If you want to, if we make rental profit and you want to reinvest it, I have to reinvest my share. If you want to spend it on a holiday, I can spend my share on a holiday. So I have to follow your money. You have 100% control. If you want to sell, I can't stop you. Yeah, you decide. Sam said, hi Aaron, I've bought the last edition of your book. What is new in the new edition? I understand to mention about new topics on how to value property. Sam, not a lot is new in the third edition, actually, Sam. So if you've already got the previous edition, I wouldn't spend money to buy the new one. There's not a lot of changes. I've got a new book coming out in the new year called Property Investing Made Easy, and I'd probably suggest, Sam, that you wait for that. And that will really add some value to you. So the third edition is, you know, there's just a few changes, but nothing major. Okay. Elizabeth's asking, will your guarantee figures work with using mortgage for limited companies as rates are higher? Absolutely, Elizabeth, they will. We still provide the same guarantee and the same promises. If you're getting limited company mortgages, absolutely 100%. Yeah. Christine, hi there, how are you? Christine's asking, do you have power teams that cover the Isle of Wight? Christine, I don't want to mislead you, so I don't actually know is the simple answer. But if you contact the team, info@propertyinsight.info, and ask the question, or psme@propertyinsight.info, you'd be able to contact Amelia directly, who runs Property Sourcing Made Easy. She'd be able to let you know if those power teams are in place, and who we have within those power teams. Okay. Okay, Mark's asked whether I mentioned about a link to the book, and Mark, I absolutely did. I'm afraid my team haven't put that link up on my slides, so I'm not able to give you the link to claim the book. But what I'll do, let me put up on the screen for you. The book that I've written is called The Property Coach. That's one of the free offers we normally make. If you email the team, info@propertyinsight.info. So info@propertyinsight.info. The 4 free offers that you can have. We've got the free weekly emails. They're worth about £197. Recorded. It's a 3 to 7 minute video clip that comes into your inbox once a week, recorded by myself, Simon Zucci, Yvonne Emery, people, really high up people in education who know what they're talking about, that I trust. And the idea is, it just, the weeks where you've been really busy and not got around to educating yourself, it drip feeds your education. So there's that. There's the free mindset videos we've got. There's the free rental pack worth £97, got an up-to-date tenancy agreement in there, videos on how to be 98% occupied, 95% rent collected, Section 8 and 21 procedures, for evicting people, etc., and a free property pack. So if you want any of those things, if you email the team, info@propertyinsight.info, that's info@propertyinsight.info, and then the team will be able to get those free offers out to you. So anyone who was interested in the book or any of those other offers, you can do that. Okay, Stuart's asking, do you have a charge on the property then for my 25%? Stuart, I don't. We legally are allowed to put a charge on them. So you sign a document to say we could put a charge on them. But to be honest, if an investor trusts me to work with me, then I'm going to work with a level of trust with them as well. So we don't actually put charges on the property. We work on a level of trust. You do sign something as we buy each house to say I've got a 25% share, a legal document. And it says on there that I could put a charge on if I wanted, but we never do. Putting the charge on just slows things down for refinancing. We both want it to be successful. We want to grow your portfolio as best we can, and I don't want to get in the way of that, trying to put charges on and things like that. So we don't actually put charges on, Stuart. Okay. What I'd suggest is if you've got interest specifically in Property Insight, then you could email the team. There's two ways to follow up. You could email the team, Stuart, and say, could you speak to somebody? There's a lady called Paula who deals with new inquiries all the time and helping people to decide whether that investment is right for them or not. Or you could come along to an experience day. We run them every 5 or 6 weeks in London. The next one is actually this Tuesday. It's in Brent Cross at London. Just at the bottom of the M1, but it's this Tuesday, and some people don't want to spend a whole day out; they just want to speak to Paula. But the beauty of the experience days is there'll be another 5 to 15 people there. You get to ask your questions, but you hear them asking their questions as well. I'm there in person, so you get to see the whites of my eyes, as it were. And some people love to come along and spend time at the experience day like that. Other people don't feel the need to do that. Other people are very happy to just check us out to check us out, do their due diligence, speak to Paula, and then move forward from there. Okay, great. I really, really hope you found the webinar of value. There's so many of you still on the call, so thank you for spending your time with me. I know, Friday lunchtimes are valuable, so you've got a choice of who you spend your time with. I hope that's been valuable. For those of you interested in following up with us, that's absolutely great, and we very much look forward to speaking with you and working with you and helping you be successful with your investing. And for those of you that were just here for the education, I really wish you all the best with your investment journey and wish you all the best moving forward with your investments. But yeah, thank you, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Thank you.